On my 18th birthday, Grandpa gave me his $200 million fortune, but right after the party, Mom demanded her new husband take over. She screamed, "You are too young for such responsibility." Stepdad added, "Real men should run real businesses." I refused, so she threw me out of the house. Then Grandpa laughed and dropped a bombshell that shook everyone. I never thought my 18th birthday would be the day my entire world flipped upside down. My name is Jake Morrison, and this is the story of how my grandfather's gift changed everything, and how my mother's greed nearly destroyed our family. Let me start from the beginning. My grandfather, William Morrison, built Morrison Industries from nothing. Starting with a small construction company in 1965, he grew it into a massive empire spanning real estate development, manufacturing, and technology investments. By the time I was born, Grandpa Will was worth over $200 million, but you'd never know it from how he lived. He drove a 20-year-old pickup truck, wore the same flannel shirts for decades, and lived in the modest house where he'd raised my father. My dad, Robert Morrison, died in a car accident when I was 12. Mom, Lisa Morrison, was devastated, and honestly, so was I. Dad had been my hero, the one who taught me about business, responsibility, and what it meant to be a man of your word. After his death, Mom struggled with depression and started making questionable decisions. The first red flag should have been when she started dating Richard Kellerman just 8 months after Dad's funeral. Richard was everything my father wasn't: flashy, loud, and obsessed with status symbols. He drove a leased BMW, wore expensive suits he couldn't afford, and constantly talked about big deals that never seemed to materialize. Mom was vulnerable, and Richard swooped in like a vulture. They got married when I was 15, despite Grandpa Will's obvious disapproval and my own protests. Richard immediately started pushing boundaries, trying to assert authority over me and making snide comments about the Morrison family's old-fashioned ways. He'd make jokes about Grandpa Will's frugal lifestyle, calling him a rich miser behind his back. "Your grandfather's got all that money just sitting there," Richard would tell Mom when he thought I wasn't listening. "We could be living like kings, but instead we're stuck in this middle-class house while he hoards his fortune." Mom would usually defend Grandpa Will, but I could see Richard's poison working on her. She started making comments about how unfair it was that Grandpa Will lived so modestly while we had to struggle. The truth was, we weren't struggling at all. Mom received a generous survivor's benefit from Dad's life insurance, and Grandpa Will had been quietly paying for everything from my private school tuition to our mortgage. But Richard had a way of making her feel deprived. The real tension came from the fact that everyone knew I was Grandpa Will's heir. Dad had been his only child, and I was his only grandchild. It was common knowledge in our family that I would inherit everything when I turned 18, a tradition Grandpa Will believed in strongly. He thought 18 was when a person was old enough to handle real responsibility, and he'd been preparing me for it my entire life. Every summer since I was 10, I'd worked in different divisions of Morrison Industries. I started in the mailroom, then moved to construction sites, then to the corporate offices. Grandpa Will made sure I understood every aspect of the business from the ground up. By the time I was 17, I was sitting in on board meetings and helping make strategic decisions. The other executives respected me because I'd earned it, not because of my name.